Have you ever woken up feeling exhausted, despite a full night's rest, or felt an unexpected chill run through you with no apparent cause? It's easy to dismiss these sensations as simply physical, but what if there's something deeper at play? What if your body is responding to shifts within your spirit, to growth and awakening that your heart is still processing? You are not alone in this. These experiences are part of a journey, a powerful reminder that you are being prepared for something greater. Your sensitivity is not a weakness. It's a sign that you're in tune with something beyond the ordinary, something sacred. Embrace it. These changes are leading you toward your highest purpose. Keep moving forward, because every step, every shift is part of the beautiful transformation unfolding within you. You are being aligned for something amazing. Trust the process. Trust yourself. There are certain people who sense the turning of the page before it ever flips. Long before visible change arrives, their inner world begins to stir. Something feels different, even if nothing outside has shifted. They may feel out of sync with what's happening around them, but it's not confusion, it's preparation. What seems unusual to others is often a sign of alignment with a reality that hasn't yet fully emerged. The soul catches glimpses before the eyes do. When someone is being shifted for a divine assignment, that adjustment doesn't stay tucked away in the background. It spills over. The thoughts shift. Emotions feel deeper, heavier, or sharper. And slowly, even the body begins to reflect that something sacred is being stirred. The physical self, once comfortable in routine, starts responding in unfamiliar ways, not because of fear, but because of readiness. Something internal is being fine-tuned for what's ahead. Don't just watch, be part of the movement. Hit subscribe and step into your purpose. Your journey starts now. If you feel the abundance of divine love filling your heart, now is the perfect time to share it. By clicking the super thank you button on YouTube and contributing $100 or more, you can help spread God's blessings far and wide. Your offering will not only touch your own life, but also reach countless souls through this platform. Each of you holds a sacred place in God's magnificent plan, and your generosity will be the answer to many prayers. Take action now. Share your blessings to honor His kingdom, for you were created to accomplish even greater works through His loving hands. May God's grace be with you. These changes don't always come with explanations. Traditional answers may fall short. But what if the restlessness, the tension, the odd signals are not a sign of disorder, but of divine alignment? The body is not a bystander in spiritual movement. It is a participant. As inner layers awaken, the outer shell adjusts to carry what's being activated. It's not always logical, but it's always purposeful. The shell is catching up to what the spirit already knows. When everything in you begins to feel more fragile, it isn't always about breaking. It's about rebuilding. What once felt normal might suddenly become unbearable, not because you've lost your strength, but because your sensitivity has grown. And in a world that celebrates numbness, this sensitivity is a sacred gift. It means you're not missing the shift. It means you're present in it. In this message, what once felt scattered may begin to make sense. That shortness of breath in quiet moments, that heaviness in your chest during stillness, that unexpected clarity in your thoughts, it's not random. It's a sign. The discomfort isn't dysfunction. It's transition. The ground beneath you isn't shaking to destroy. It's moving to position. If you feel God's presence, you can tap the join button below to become part of the first chosen ones and receive the most important revelations early. You were never meant to sleep through your purpose. So your entire being begins to respond when it's time to rise. What you feel isn't weakness, it's spiritual traction. What you've experienced isn't exhaustion, it's stretching. And what looks like limitation might actually be your soul, carving out space for something divine to land. If your body feels more alert, your heart more tender, your days more intense, it could mean something is unfolding that requires all of you, not just your mind. You're not just thinking differently, you're becoming different. And the body, in all its wisdom, is simply making room for the mission to manifest. Lean into it. The process is sacred, the signals are real, and the transformation has already begun. There are people whose transformation doesn't begin with words or decisions. It begins with awareness. They start to feel things before they can explain them. Subtle shifts, quiet alerts in the body, a sense that something beneath the surface has been stirred. It's not imagination, it's not drama, it's the spirit speaking through the vessel. When alignment begins, the whole self gets involved, not just the mind, but the frame it lives in. There are moments when what's happening inside starts pressing outward. Something unseen brushes against the natural. And in those moments, the body doesn't stay silent. It reacts, not with spectacle, but with small changes. Perhaps a tightness, a flutter, a warmth, a stillness. All of it pointing to one thing. There's more going on than meets the eye. And those who are being refined can feel it in real time. There is an ancient moment where divine instruction wasn't just heard, it was tasted. A physical act that bridged the spiritual and the earthly. That moment reveals something important. What is sacred will often pass through the senses. Revelation doesn't just touch thoughts, it leaves an impression on the body. There are times when what is holy will rest in your bones before your mind catches up. That's why those undergoing true change don't dismiss discomfort. They lean in. They notice when sleep becomes lighter, when certain environments feel heavier, when unexpected peace lands in chaotic places. These signals aren't meant to confuse, they're meant to guide. And the one who is being tuned learns to listen, not just with ears, but with skin, breath, and posture. The whole being becomes an instrument of discernment. There are patterns that only the awakened recognize. A sudden unease when stepping into a room, an appetite that disappears without illness, a heartbeat that rises for no reason at all. It's not always spiritual warfare. It could be spiritual awareness. The body knows things before the brain can name them, and those who are sensitive begin to understand the language of their own system. It's not fear, it's training. In times of internal change, the outer frame goes through its own shedding. Not everything will feel pleasant. You may feel stretched, pressured, tender. But that's what happens when something new is settling in. Instruments don't make beautiful sound until they are tightened, tuned, even stressed. But after the tension comes clarity. After the pull comes precision. So if you find yourself wondering why you feel off, but also deeply aware, pause and ask, what are you preparing me for? Don't rush to label it. Don't be quick to silence it. Sit with it. Listen again. Because your body might be interpreting something from the spirit that your words haven't yet formed. And instead of resisting it, you're being invited to grow into it. Let the process speak. Let the sensations teach. You're not falling apart. You're being restructured. You're not overly emotional. You're becoming deeply aligned. The signs are not random. They're personalized. The signals aren't distractions. They're invitations to go deeper. This is how transformation begins. Not with lightning from above, but with a stillness inside that refuses to be ignored. You're not broken. you're becoming. Some individuals are designed to live with intention in every breath. They don't just walk in purpose, they rest in it too. Everything about them begins to align, including how their body responds to the presence of the divine. They start to treat their entire being as sacred ground, a vessel to be refined, not just used. This isn't a forced practice. It's a natural response to something deeper, stirring from within. Creating a rhythm of dedicating your body to higher purpose is more than spiritual discipline. It's recognition of value. When the inner world begins to shift, the physical world must also fall into order. You begin to declare, not out of fear, but faith. This body will serve a higher call. These hands will bless. These feet will follow peace. These eyes will seek wisdom. The chosen don't wait to feel worthy. They make themselves available, preparing the vessel before the journey begins. Even rest becomes intentional. Sleep stops being routine and transforms into communion. Stillness holds weight. The night hours, once ignored, begin to shimmer with possibility. What once felt like interruption becomes invitation. There are times the body sleeps, but something within you starts to rise. Your spirit responding to whispers that don't wait for morning light. There are moments when waking up at the same time each night isn't about insomnia. It's about instruction. What you thought was restlessness might actually be your spirit sensing that heaven has opened the line. You're being called, not loudly, but clearly. You don't have to fully understand it yet. What matters is that you notice, that you begin to ask, what is this moment for? There's purpose in the midnight hour. Some are being trained to stand watch, not in the public eye, but in the hidden places, assigned to lift up people they've never met, to pray for breakthroughs they'll never witness firsthand. This quiet commissioning isn't for everyone. It's for those who can feel the shift in the stillness. Those whose hearts are tuned to divine timing, not just earthly routine. To walk in this space with clarity, the environment matters. Where you rest can either nurture revelation or cloud it. You don't need anything elaborate. Simplicity can be sacred. A whispered prayer, a verse read slowly, an atmosphere of peace rather than noise. These small habits open space for greater encounters. You are not trying to summon anything. You are making room. The Spirit often speaks in symbols, in impressions, in fleeting fragments that only reveal their meaning when you begin to listen differently. That's why what comes in dreams shouldn't be tossed aside, even when it seems unclear. Write them down. Revisit them. There are messages hidden in the margins. Often the most significant words arrive in silence, not speech. Sensitivity in the night isn't weakness, it's awareness. You're not being disrupted, you're being positioned. When the body wakes, when the atmosphere feels charged, when your chest stirs with a sense of knowing, that is your signal. Not from outside, but from within. The Spirit moves, and the vessel echoes that movement. You are not imagining it. You are being shaped to notice. Dear brothers and sisters, may the peace of God fill your hearts today. I come to remind you of a profound truth. Our lives are firmly established in God's divine purpose, untouched by the fleeting worries of this world. As Scripture tells us, give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, will be poured into your lap. Luke 6:38. Like the mighty oak, whose roots are planted deep in rich soil, our foundation is anchored in God's eternal truth. Every move we make, every stand we take, is upheld by His enduring strength. Today, you have the opportunity to participate in this divine blessing. By clicking the Super Thank You button and offering a gift of $50, you will sow into a harvest that will return to you many times over in God's abundant grace. And if that's you, if you've been waking up without reason, feeling stirred without language, moved to pray without prompt, know this: you are not alone. You're not broken. You're in training. Heaven is closer than you thought, and it speaks not only to your mind, but through your being. Stay open. Stay attentive. And when the rest of the world sleeps without awareness, you will stand in the night, not confused, but called. There are people who experience the world through a lens that others don't even know exists. They carry an inner calibration that begins to shift once their spirit begins to grow. What once felt normal no longer fits. What once went unnoticed suddenly feels too loud, too heavy, too sharp. And it's not because they're fragile, it's because they've been activated. Their entire being, from thought to nerve, starts aligning with something higher. Nights that once felt long now feel like sacred pauses. When sleep won't come easily, they no longer see it as a problem, but as a possibility. That restlessness becomes a doorway. They turn over, not in frustration, but in prayer. These are the moments when heaven whispers softly to those willing to stay awake. What others call discomfort, they begin to see as invitation. Their senses become messengers. Crowded spaces press too hard on their peace. Harsh lighting becomes more than annoyance, it's interruption. Conversations that once seemed casual now feel weighty, draining, misaligned. They notice tension in their shoulders after a visit, a flutter in the chest around certain people, and they begin to realize this isn't mood, this isn't nerves, this is discernment growing deeper roots. If you feel God's presence, you can tap the join button below to become part of the first chosen ones and receive the most important revelations early. They no longer crave the noise. They don't seek what dazzles. They gravitate toward what quiets the storm inside. Trees speak more than screens. Silence teaches more than debate. Stillness becomes a sanctuary. It's not withdrawal, it's preservation. Their spirit is choosing spaces that don't require defense, and their body follows suit. They begin seeking places that nourish instead of drain. It's not being picky, it's being led. Touch becomes a language. So does tone, energy, timing. Even their reaction to certain songs or images begins to shift. Things that used to seem harmless now sit heavy, not because they're weak, but because they've become clear. Their filter has changed. Their discernment has taken up more room, and now it speaks louder than ever, through skin, breath, and instinct. And though they sometimes doubt this change, wondering why they can't tolerate what others seem fine with, they're actually walking deeper into purpose. Not everyone is meant to feel what they feel. Not everyone is being shaped to carry what they're carrying. Their path has been carved differently, so naturally their experience won't match the crowd. They're being refined, not rejected. One glance at an old friend, and they sense a shift. One moment in a familiar room, and the temperature of their spirit changes. One word spoken out of turn, and their heart tightens, not in offense, but in discernment. The body sends signals that the soul can't ignore anymore, and when the message is received, everything changes. It's not paranoia, it's preparation. The unease, the weariness, the stir in their stomach, these aren't things to suppress. They are part of the dialogue between the natural and the supernatural. These moments of physical reaction are not detours from the spiritual journey. They are part of the journey itself. When you begin to honor this awareness, you start setting boundaries without guilt. You begin stepping away from tables where your spirit no longer eats. You stop second-guessing your discomfort and start asking wiser questions. What is this moment trying to show me? What am I being protected from? What am I being called into? This isn't weakness. This is wisdom in motion, a tuning of the soul that causes the body to hum with either peace or warning. And as you learn to listen with more than your ears, you will discover the divine is not only speaking to your mind, but through every fiber of your being. There are those whose transformation begins quietly, so quietly, in fact, that it first appears in the most unexpected place, their body. Long before a revelation lands in words, the vessel starts to shift. Their senses sharpen, their reactions intensify, their appetites change. Not out of trend, not from fear, but from a deep, unseen alignment already underway. Something internal starts making room, and the body can no longer pretend not to notice. A deep calm may come upon them without reason, or tears rise up during moments of worship that once passed without emotion. Their chest may grow lighter in sacred spaces, or heavier in rooms that no longer match who they are becoming. It's not sensitivity, it's awareness. The physical realm begins to mirror what heaven is whispering in the soul. What feels like emotion is often presence. What seems like stillness is often encounter. This shift pushes them to become more intentional about the space they live in. They begin speaking words of life over their home, not as ritual, but as response. They surround themselves with sounds that nourish, messages that uplift. Their room becomes a place of retreat, of listening, of alignment. It's not about avoiding the world. It's about building a sanctuary that reflects the one being built inside. Even their cravings start to change, not through guilt, but through grace. Their body begins to ask for simplicity. Heavy meals that once brought comfort now feel burdensome. They start to prefer what's fresh, what's natural, what leaves them feeling clear. Without effort, their appetite begins to match their calling. Not just spiritually, but physically, they start choosing what sustains the sacred rather than satisfies the moment. This purification isn't always gentle. Skin may break out, sleep patterns may shift, digestive discomfort may rise. It's not a sign that something is wrong. It's often the evidence that the old is being cleared out. When the spirit expands, the body adapts. It releases what it once held onto in silence. And sometimes, what was buried in distraction returns through the body as pain, not to punish, but to finally be released. What used to feel harmless now leaves a trace. Content that once entertained now feels like weight. Music that once played in the background now stirs unrest. Certain relationships begin to feel draining, not out of offense, but because the soul is learning to preserve its peace. The physical reactions are not accidents, they're guides. Clarity is no longer just mental, it becomes physical. They start waking up, not just to their day, but to their role. Sometimes they feel the pull to step away from a meal, not because they're avoiding food, but because their spirit is craving silence. They are learning that fasting isn't just a practice, it's a response to an inner hunger that food can't reach. In this posture, they begin to hear more clearly. What's external becomes quieter, so what's divine can speak louder. And with time, they stop fighting the changes. Instead of resisting the discomfort, they begin asking better questions. What are you trying to teach me here? What's shifting in me that I need to pay attention to? They no longer see pain as the enemy, but as the messenger. Not all suffering is harmful. Some is healing. Some aches come not from injury, but from reordering. This journey becomes one of stewardship. They start listening to their body not as a burden, but as a partner in purpose. They realize they are not just carrying vision. They are becoming the kind of vessel that can hold it. Their choices change. Their pace changes. Their priorities shift. Because when light increases within, the structure that carries it must also rise to meet the weight of glory. So they become more selective, not prideful, just aware. They say no faster, but love deeper. They spend more time alone, but feel less lonely. They walk away from what no longer resonates, not with bitterness, but with clarity. Their body becomes a compass, a mirror, a sanctuary. It tells the truth, even when the mind is slow to catch up. And in all of this, they are not falling apart. They are being rebuilt. Every ache is a doorway. Every change is an invitation. And every moment of stillness is a step toward wholeness. Heaven is not only speaking to their heart, it's speaking through every part of them. All they need to do is keep listening. Now is the moment to share God's blessings by clicking the Super Thank You button on YouTube. With a donation of $100 or more, you can actively participate in His divine mission and contribute to His greater plan. Every offering you make reflects the boundless generosity of God, and I trust it will return to you abundantly, far exceeding your hopes. Always remember, His protection and blessing accompany your every step and every act of giving. You are a vital part of His sacred design. You are strong and radiant, steadfast like His mighty rock. Experience God's miracles. Feel the rewards of your generosity deep within your soul, and shine your light with boldness and faith. May you be richly blessed, and may the light of the Lord continually guide your journey. There are those who move through life with a sensitivity that isn't taught, it's revealed. They feel things beneath the surface. They carry the kind of awareness that can't be explained away by emotion or coincidence. Their body picks up what the spirit has already received, and though it may be quiet on the outside, inside something is stirring with deep purpose. Some mornings begin with discomfort that seems to come from nowhere. A sudden tension behind the eyes, a heaviness in the shoulders, a strange warmth in the hands during moments of prayer. It's not random. It's not always physical. Sometimes it's the soul sending a signal through the body. These aren't symptoms to fear, they're signs to explore. Instead of retreating, lean in and ask, what are you saying in this moment? Rather than resisting the ache, welcome it as a conversation. Let your breath become prayer. Lay your hand gently where you feel the tension and speak life over it. Not just hoping for relief, but partnering with restoration. The place that feels strained might be the exact area where something old is loosening and something sacred is forming. There are times when tiredness goes beyond explanation. When you've done little, yet your entire being feels spent. The kind of weariness that lingers even after rest. It's in these seasons that God is often doing His deepest work, beneath what's visible, in the layers that words can't reach. What feels like weakness is often the proof of stretching. You are not falling behind, you're being filled. When your steps feel heavy, but you keep moving. When you want to pause, but something inside keeps going. That's not just strength, that's grace. That's divine endurance taking over when your own supply has run dry. In those moments, you are not being punished. You're being expanded. The capacity you're building now will hold the assignment that's coming. If you feel God's presence, you can tap the join button below to become part of the first chosen ones and receive the most important revelations early. Rest is not an interruption. It's part of the design. Just as soil must be turned before it receives new seed, your body must be softened to receive deeper truth. That turning can be tiring, but it's also how the ground is made ready. Learn to pause without guilt. Learn to breathe without shame. Silence is not a lack of progress. It is often the beginning of clarity. Over time, you'll notice that as the spirit overflows, the body responds. Something about your expression becomes softer. Your tone becomes gentler. You carry peace that needs no introduction. Without trying, you become a safe space. Not because you've mastered perfection, but because you've allowed presence to lead. It begins to show. On your face, in your posture, through your energy. There's no need to force this glow. The more filled you are, the less effort you need. What's inside rises naturally. Others may not understand it, but they'll sense it. They'll feel that something is different, and they'll be right. You're not who you were. You've been realigned. What leads you now is not willpower, but presence. If your body is changing, pay attention. If you feel unusual fatigue, sudden resistance to food, or even discomfort in specific environments, don't ignore it. These aren't signs of breaking down, but of being rebuilt. Your vessel is adjusting to carry more light, more clarity, more weight of calling.